Hi, Caleb with Brownells here. In this week's product spotlight, we have the Havoc Tactical QRB. Now, this kit is an apparatus that allows you to remove the barrel assembly from your upper receiver with the handguard and everything attached, and reinstall it with no loss of accuracy. So it's a pretty cool kit if you're looking to do like a swap barrel AR-15, or if you're looking to have something that you can take down and store nice and compact. This is definitely the kit to get. So what we're going to do is go over the basic components and installation. So let's get started. Now, first off, we have our major components here. We're going to have the receiver plate. Then you're also going to have your barrel plate. Then also, you're going to have a gas tube extension. Now, the reason you have to have this extension is because you have a proprietary gas tube with the kit. The reason that is because whenever you take the kit apart, it also separates the gas tube so that you have a nice, flush surface once it's disassembled, and you don't have a gas tube sticking off of your barrel assembly that can get damaged whenever you're storing it. So as far as installation goes, the first thing we're going to need to do is take our receiver plate and remove this screw from the bottom that comes installed. We're going to leave that on our wrench. Now we're going to go ahead and take our barrel and install that into the upper receiver. Now, what I like to do is just go ahead and install it before I do anything else. If you ever see me install a barrel before, I like to put a little bit of grease on the extension. Then we're just going to go ahead and slide that on. Now we're going to take our gas tube extension with the flat facing downward. We're going to go ahead and install that into the upper receiver. And the reason we do it like that, I will show you in just a moment. Now, with our receiver plate, one end is flat. Then you'll notice the other end has a cutout in it. The flat end is going to go against the receiver. So we'll just slide that over the barrel, over the gas tube extension, onto the receiver. From here, we're going to take our lock ring. And again, I like to use a little bit of grease on these here. Just a bit, and we're going to install that. And the reason we installed that gas tube extension with the flat facing down is so that that flat can clear this ring. So we're going to hand tighten this. Get it nice and snug. Now, just like the barrel nut on an AR-15 that has the notches cut out for a gas tube, we're going to have to make sure those notches line up with where the gas tube's going to go in, so that whenever we do have the gas tube installed, it'll be able to clear it. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that. And torquing it at the same time. Torque settings are the same as your standard AR-15 barrel nut. It doesn't have to be super specific as far as torque goes. The AR-15 has a pretty wide torque range, 30 to 85 foot-pounds. So what we're going to do is go ahead and index that. And I also like to note, whenever you're using your Magpul wrench, which I highly recommend by the way, whenever you're doing this, use the side with the studs on it. That way you can get the reach to get inside of there without the wrench slipping. Now, once I think I have it in the position it needs to be, I'm just going to take my gas tube and do a test fit to make sure it clears. And that looks good. So from here, what we're going to need to do, I'll take it out the vise so you can see it a bit better here. That screw that we removed at the beginning, you can see it's going to index and lock in to one of those scallop cutouts. Now, before we do this, what we're going to need to do is put a little bit of blue Loctite on that threaded portion. Now, before we thread that screw in, we're going to need a little bit of blue Loctite. If you ever seen me use Loctite before, I like to put a little bit on the table here. Alright, so I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on the screw. A little bit goes a long way. And we're going to insert that back into the cutout at the bottom. Just thread that on in there. And snug it up. So the interesting thing about this part here is that there's nothing holding the barrel in yet. So we're going to go ahead and install the barrel plate that secures the barrel to the receiver. You'll notice on this particular model, the barrel plate has 2 pins. We're going to go ahead and slide it over with that top pin facing straight up so that it indexes. It'll only go on one way. Now this is what's going to keep the barrel attached to the upper receiver via the clamps on each side. So what we're going to go ahead and do at this point is we're going to take our clamps and tighten them down. This one's already been pre-adjusted, but to adjust those, if you notice there's a screw on the back side here, you can tighten and loosen that screw to adjust the tension on the clamp. The clamp should go on and then secure in place with a bit of force and stay in place nice and solid. That's where you want that screw to be. So once you have your screw set where it should be, you're going to go ahead and take that screw, put a little bit of blue Loctite on it, and then reinsert it and just double check that tension. We have our tension adjusted properly and everything. Now there's 3 screws on the barrel plate. There's 2 on top and 1 on the bottom. And what we're going to need to do is remove each one of these screws. Now we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of blue Loctite on these as well and insert them back in. These screws are going to press up against the barrel. These are what's going to hold the barrel into the barrel plate. Snug those up nice and repeat that for the other 2 screws. A little bit of blue Loctite and back in position. And that last screw. Now once everything's nice and snug and locked into place, we need to check function with our bolt carrier group before we go ahead and install the handguard and all the other accessories. So we're going to remove this from our device here. Take our bolt carrier group or charging handle. Insert those in the normal fashion. And make sure that bolt carrier group locks up, and it locks up into the barrel just fine. Now we can go ahead and remove them and continue the rest of the process. Now from here, all you need to do is install your gas tube onto the gas block you plan on using, and the handguard itself installs onto these threads here just as it would on any standard upper receiver. So the rest of the assembly of the AR-15 is exactly the same. If you need help with that, be sure to go check out any of our other videos on installing particular handguards, gas blocks, things like that, and that'll get you squared away there. And that is it for the installation of this device here. And as you can see, since our barrel plate's installed, we can remove the system here. And this would have your handguard and everything else, whichever handguard you choose to put on it. And it locks back on. Nice and snug. And that's it. If you have any questions on the installation of this, or of course with any other AR-15 components, feel free to leave us a comment down below, or give us a call on the tech line. We'll be happy to help you out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.